Welcome back, this time to another substandard car review. I have here a 1987 Fiat Uno 60. It's an 1100. It's actually fairly nippy for what it is. Now sometimes a car comes my way through various means that I absolutely fall in love with. And this one, honestly, is no exception. It doesn't look like much on the outside, but it's kind of quirky these days. It's very boxy, which I absolutely love. And despite the fact that it's only got 4 gears, it's fairly swift as well, especially on these little back roads and through narrow streets and things. But then this is where it's at home. Now this car is on loan to me at the moment, and it's a friend's purchase. He has no idea I'm making this video, so yes, hello, I'm making this video. But I thought this one was worthy of a video. It's a proper little survivor car, and it may have a few stone chips, age-related marks, comes with the territory. It is very, very, very clean for what it is. Going around the car, honestly, there is no rot, there's no major dings. A few of the plastics and things are looking like they're getting a bit old, but you know, it's 80s, 90s plastic. What do you really expect? The engine, however, whilst it sounds like a sewing machine, it is very, very sweet. And I've got to be honest, it's 1116 cc, so it's a little over 1.1, and honestly, it genuinely feels like it makes every single bit of that matter. So, let's have a little look at this little 1100. It's a tiny little 8 valve, it really is, but I love it, I really do. So lightweight. The nice thing about cars of this era, and slightly older I suppose, maybe even slightly newer, is just how easy they are to work on. There really isn't a lot going on in here, and I love the fact that the washer fluid is literally in a bag. That blows my mind, it really does. I love that, it's a bag. Tiny little radiator up front, air box up there. This would be so easy to service. And to be quite honest, getting this engine out, having to refurbish it if you had a bad one, I really can't see it being much of an issue. The pipes are all nice and easy to get to, everything that goes through the bulkhead's nice and easy to get to, and I mean, disconnecting the gearbox and whatnot, that's not going to be too difficult on this. I can see why a lot of people liked these and why they carried on for so long as well. Nice big battery for what it is, so plenty of power. Fuel filter's nice. It's even the headlights, which is something that's quite difficult on modern cars nowadays. Changing a bulb should not be an ordeal. And on this, there's so much room, you're going to struggle to not be able to change the bulb. It's going to be very nice and easy. But having a look at this again, I keep looking around it, but looking at it, you can really see how much wings are, they're perfect. They're absolutely perfect. The bulkhead is perfect. All of the lines for the welds and things, it's perfect. I really can't argue with this thing, and it drives rough. It's rough. The suspension's really not sophisticated, but therein is part of its charm. It's rough and ready, it's easy to work on, and to be quite honest, it's the type of thing that will run past doomsday. Now please forgive me for this next segment, as I'm currently having to sort of fight the driver's door to stay open, but the interior, gotta have a look at the interior. First of all, it's all black, which is kind of nice, really. But all the plastics and things, whilst they are on the cheaper side for what they were, they've actually held up really, really well. This thing has definitely not been abused. She currently stands at 83,000 miles. To be quite honest, with a good detail, I think you could take a few of those miles off. But I love the lack of intrusion here. I really do. You've got your indicator stalk with a horn, which I don't think is going to work. Oh, it does work. There we go. The instrument cluster There's no rev counter. It seems like it gives you a tyre pressure warning system. You've got your fuel gauge, you've got your coolant, you've got your various indicator lights to say, you know, low battery, whether you've got your lights on or not. You've got your speedometer. But then around the sides, you've got like these two pods, and I love these two pods. So you've got flip switches. It's almost like an aircraft. And honestly, they're so satisfying to click as well. It really makes, when you're driving along and you think, I need to put my lights on. I'll put the side lights on. Click. Makes you feel like you're driving a fighter jet. It's really quite cool. I mean, a Saab is not, but still, I absolutely love that. There is obviously no air conditioning, which is always a challenge in these humid British summers. But you do have a variety of air vents. What seems to be a aftermarket sunroof fitted to this, but obviously you've got your wind-up windows. You've got a small glove box, but a huge shelf, and I can see the huge shelf actually being quite useful, to be honest. There's these weird contraptions. I'm not entirely sure what they're actually supposed to be. I don't know if they were an ashtray or something in the past, but yeah, I'm having a bit of a blank moment here. If anybody can tell me what these are, that'd be great, because I have no idea what they are. But they seem like they could be useful for something. You've got your heater controls and things down here. Proper old school stereo, love it. But in terms of space, I mean, there's a nice centre console down here that you could store many things in. But it's functional. It's basic, but not basic to the point of being offensive. And as for the little steering wheel, I love this little steering wheel. I really do. It's so thin. It's almost like shaking hands with a cat. I quite like this, but again, this car is not an offensive thing to be in. I quite like the interior. Now things really do kind of fall apart a bit in the back. I'm not the smallest of gentlemen, and yeah, this is a struggle. It is a struggle. A driver would have to sit quite far forward. There really is not a massive amount of leg room, to be quite honest, and I feel slightly claustrophobic in the back. Yes, it's got some nice little quarter light windows, but there's not a massive amount of headroom, and I don't touch 6 foot either, so yeah, this could be a problem. The seats are relatively comfortable. I wouldn't want to be in the back here for an extended period of time though. Now, it wouldn't be a well-rounded car review without talking about the boot. These are not big. Spoiler alert, these are not big. But I love the recess button and the little grab handle. This is great. But you open it up, if I can find somewhere to grab the thing, there's actually a fair bit of room in there. Obviously the rear seats had to take a bit of a brunt there when it came to space, but the boot's got a reasonable amount. Obviously you've got your standard parcel shelf, which I can fit a large sized briefcase on. In the back, I mean, there's a couple of big boxes of spares there, and that actually goes back quite a bit further. If I push this one box, although there is a grill in the back there, so this might not go too well, there's a fair bit. So these were quite good, I suppose, for young people, elderly people, you know, doing a reasonable supermarket shop. It really is a glorified shopping trolley, you know. You can't expect a massive amount out of it, but it's generous in the boot, I will give it that. Okay, it's time to set off. This ought to be fun down this dirt road. So, first of all, clutch feels absolutely fantastic. Really does not feel like it's an old car. This is where I'm going to start talking about the suspension and the steering. So first of all, it's very bumpy, but that's not such a bad thing, because you do feel like you feel the road, which is helpful, very helpful. Something that's missing a lot in today's cars. You don't really feel the road. I could do without feeling this one, but still. The steering, however, now obviously this car has no power steering, but you got to remember, this was designed for little Italian and Spanish streets and things. and the steering is very, very light. Mr. Osborne said about how the steering was like when I picked this up from him, and yeah, I totally agree. The thin steering wheel feels like it kind of helps, I suppose. There's not much to grab onto, but it's not offensive. But the steering, yeah, you wouldn't want to put big wheels on this thing. I mean, I think that'd be a waste anyway, but you really wouldn't want to put big wheels on this. I'm going to have to do the window up because I've just remembered I'm going towards a main road. So yeah, having the small wheels, the thin tyres, with a car that, I mean, weighs very, very little, is quite a benefit when you don't have power steering. And now I sit in an infinite amount of traffic as well. It's very light. It's really light, but it's not light to the point where it's a bit of gravel. It's not light to the point where it feels dangerous. You still get a bit of feel from the thing. With only having 4 gears, I'm now out of gears and I'm doing 30. It's no speed demon. It really isn't. I can imagine cruising in this, really, you'd want to stick at about 60, 62. It's slightly on the boomy side. I mean, there's not much in the way of, well, actual metal, but certainly not much in the way of soundproofing either. And it seems that we have a bulb out on the indicators, so I'll look into that. But the drive doesn't feel bad. The gearbox, honestly, does not feel like you're stirring porridge either. It's slightly floppy, but come on, the car's from 1987. Has it ever had the bushings replaced on the gear stick? Probably not. So I think maybe with some better bushings that feel a little bit more tight. The controls while driving, they're all nice and easy to get to, especially, as I mentioned before, the 2 pods up front. I mean, you can put your hands 10 to 2 on the steering wheel and you can hit all the switches, which is really kind of nice. The heater controls, nice and easy to get to. This really is quite bouncy, but it really is quite a nice little city car or town car, which, I mean, let's be honest, that's what it was designed to do in the first place. I really like this thing. I like it for the sheer repairability of the thing. I like it for its outright honesty. It's just, I'm a car to get you to and from, put some stuff in the back. It's no frills. The fact that it has, you know, a radio and it's got the vents and things, it's all just bonuses. All of it's bonuses. And again, as I say, it's not offensive. Would I want to drive it permanently, like, you know, as a daily driver? Good grief, no. I really wouldn't. There's better cars of the era to have as classic daily drivers. There are simply much better cars. But if you live in a city, especially somewhere like, you know, London, Manchester, Birmingham, something like that, and you want to have a modern practical classic, honestly, this one, I can't think of something really that's going to be much better. If you want something that's Italian, that sounds a bit sporty, you know, it's got a nice little Rorty sewing machine kind of sound to it, I think you're going to be hard pressed to do any better. It's great. And one of the other things as well is driving along, these are so well established with the British public, it seems, because I'm getting a lot of people pointing at it, going, look at that, I haven't seen one of those for ages. So you get that feeling as well, the feeling that you're driving something that's giving not only pleasure to yourself, but to other people as well. And at the end of the day, cars, they're supposed to put a smile on people's faces. That's one of the things that they're there to do. They're public transport, they're there to get you out and about and going places and things. But at the same time, they are there to put a smile on people's faces. And this one driving around, it certainly does. Now for some Italian noise. Italian noise, but not much speed. So thank you very much for watching. Comment, subscribe and all them good things. And I'll catch you in the next one, probably in another year. But I'll try and make it sooner. Now where's the sodding bonnet catch? Come on. So glad I'm not doing this on camera. Ah, there it is. Now, things do kind of fall apart in the back. As you can see, I'm of the... It's got automatic front doors.